So how does a guy like me get invited to Smyrna, Georgia to attend the Glock Gen 6 premiere? I'm not really sure. I joined a group of roughly 80 or so writers, YouTubers, and gun influencers at the Glock headquarters in Smyrna, Georgia, and we got to see the premiere of the Glock Gen 6. The Glock people treated us really well. And to reveal any kind of biased relationship, well, Glock didn't pay us to come. They paid for like the airfare to come out here. They fed us. They treat you really well here. So if you're going to hear bias in this, I don't think it's something I can overcome, even if I attempt to. But you deserve that warning as we dive into this Gen 6 premiere. So we did get like a full rundown of the Glock Gen 6 from the Glock folks. I mean, we got a factory tour, which unfortunately I couldn't film or take photos in. We got a presentation from the engineers, from the guys that train Glock shooters, from law enforcement reps and beyond. They just gave us this really detailed rundown of the Glock Gen 6 series pistols. And then they swore us to secrecy until now, until you're seeing this. So the Gen 6 is finally here, and it actually surprised me. I think a lot of folks see Glock generations, and you know, when the Glock Gen 4 went to the Gen 5, people were like, well, that's it? That's all you changed? I don't think people are going to think that about the Glock Gen 6. So let's just kind of dive into it. The Glock Gen 6 will premiere with 3 models for the American market. We have the classic Glock 17, the fan favorite Glock 19, and the cult favorite, the Glock 45. This will be the initial rollout, and what guns are coming next in terms of models and calibers wasn't up for discussion just yet. The European market will also receive the Glock 49. When asked why the Glock 49 wasn't coming to the American market, the answer was simple. No one purchased the Gen 5 Glock 49, so they didn't really see much of a market for a Gen 6 model. My first question was, why no 47? I like the ability to switch Glock 17 sized and Glock 19 length slides onto a 47 frame. The answer was easy. They don't need it anymore. The Glock 17 Gen 6 slide can drop onto the Glock 19 Gen 6 frame and vice versa. So the Glock 47 kind of became redundant. So Glock spent like 5 years developing the Gen 6, so this was not like an overnight decision to release it. This was a joint project between America Glock and Austria Glock. So they've unveiled a ton of new features with this gun, and we're going to work our way from the bottom to the top. So the grip now features a palm swell for better ergonomics. Glocks have always felt a bit like holding a brick, but that's not the case with the Gen 6. If you hold a Gen 5 and a Gen 6 side by side, it does almost feel like holding completely different guns. We also get a magwell that's a fair bit larger than the stock for faster reloads. Glock has also introduced the RTF6 texture, which is fairly aggressive, and it goes all the way up the frame. It's grippy and much more aggressive than the stock texture on Gens 4, 5, 3s, or anything since the RTF2. So you don't have to send your Glock frame off to a guy with a wood burner gun to stipple it. The trigger guard now features a very aggressive undercut, and the gun has a very large beaver tail at the rear of the gun. So you're not going to get any more Glock knuckle or slide bite, but I haven't experienced slide bite since like Gen 3. But the combination of the two allows you to have a very comfortable high grip on the gun. High grip means more control. You no longer have to use a series of back straps to get that high beaver tail. The gun does come with 2 back straps to better customize the frame to your hand, but they don't affect the beaver tail at all. Now if we move to the slide stop, we see fencing that's been put around the bottom of the slide stop. This fencing is designed to help prevent shooters from pressing up on the slide stop and accidentally locking the slide open while shooting. And this was added to the gun due to the high beaver tail and trigger guard, which encourages a higher grip on the gun. Move a little bit forward and down. The trigger is a flat face design. It's easy to reach and prevents the rubbing that occurs on the trigger finger when shooting into those higher round counts. From there, Glock added a pair of thumb rests, one on each side, that works like a gas pedal. So you put your support hand thumb on it and you can apply downward pressure to help fight recoil. Now these are becoming increasingly popular, so Glock just integrated one. To avoid holster issues, they didn't add bulk to the sides of the gun, but they scalloped the gas pedals into the frame. So it's still going to work with most standard Glock holsters. So that's the big changes with the frame. So the slide got a few changes too. It integrates some of the same Gen V series, so you can't use a Glock switch with it, or well, I guess you can't use the old Glock switches. Apparently there's one that works now. But there is a lot more than that. The Gen 6 does bring a new optic mounting design. The MOS plates are long gone. Now the gun comes with a set of 3 space fillers that will have your recoil bosses. These polymer fillers kind of just fall into place, but the optic still screws directly into the slide. And the polymer space filler things, that actually didn't really have a name for them, have the recoil bosses. So connecting the gun to the optic eliminates a lot of stack tolerances from the equation and creates kind of a more reliable design. The optic system is going to come ready for using Trijicon RMR, footprints, Leopold DPP, and Seymour, because there's like 12 people still using a Seymour footprint. Glock also redesigned the extractor depressor plunger channel to avoid longer optic screws from interacting with the extractor and causing failures, and to avoid, apparently this was an issue, Loctite getting into that area. So that's been fixed to make the gun more reliable. The slide features front and rear slide serrations that are much deeper and more aggressive than previous generations. They taper near the top, and they look good, and they feel fantastic. Glock also ditched that dual captured recoil spring design for the original single spring design, so that's made a comeback. We got the opportunity to shoot the G17, 19, and 45 a fair bit. I want to say I shot 200 rounds between the three guns. The Glock folks were loading magazines as fast as we could shoot. Still got a pretty good feel for the gun. I can't give a full range report or review, but I can say the frame changes are making a big ergonomic difference. This was the first time I've ever used a gas pedal on a gun, and I like it. I like it a lot, actually. It took a little practice to get used to, and when I actually remembered to push my thumb out a little further to find it, it made a significant difference. It made the gun a real flat shooter. All of the guns had dots, and as we were shooting with terms of accuracy, I had no problem drilling like one ragged hole in the target. Now when shooting, when I gauged that thumb rest and I had that good high grip on the gun, the dot would jump, but then it would fall right back down on target almost instantly. So that gave it that flat shooting nature and allowed us to shoot very fast and shoot very accurately. So they had no restrictions on how fast we could shoot, so I just did an entire mag dump, and I ran the thing as fast as I possibly could while keeping a good grip. Sorry folks, I am tired. And the dot jumps and seems to barely leave the lens before coming right back to where I want it. So the shots from my fast firing groups were close to touching, not quite. They were probably smaller than my palm though, which at 7 yards isn't bad when you're just going as fast as possible. Again, when I slowed down, I created a quarter-sized group with 6 rounds, and that's accurate enough for me. It really made me want to stretch the gun's legs out and take it to 25 and 50 yards to see what it could really do. Now in my group, we had 20 shooters between 9 guns, and I didn't see a single malfunction. I didn't experience a malfunction, and I didn't hear of anyone talking to other shooters who went before and after us. The same 9 guns remained on the line the entire day, and they probably went through several thousand rounds apiece. So if you have 200 rounds per shooter, 80 shooters, do the math. We didn't finish all of our ammo, admittedly, because we were in the last groups to go, but the box was getting real close to empty. Overall, the Gen 6 might be the most significant generational transfer. Glock has been developing the Gen 6 for half the time the Gen 5 has been in production, and it shows. Glock has always been a little bit slow to make changes, but the Gen 6 doesn't feel like they took anything slow. While it's a lot of changes, after seeing Glock's factory and them explaining their QC procedures, it's evident they didn't just whip this together and toss it out. Each change was tested extensively and sometimes scrapped and restarted to get the Gen 6 up and running. So last question, when can you get one? Glock told us that by the time SHOT Show rolls around, they will have guns in stores. It's not quite a Christmas delivery, but you can celebrate the new year with a new generation of Glock. So thanks for watching. Thanks for suffering through this. I feel like I am exhausted and should probably have waited, but I wanted to do this while it was still fresh in my head. If you guys have any other questions, if I missed anything, please let me know below. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Let me know what you think below.